I don't even really know how to start this, to be honest. So, I saw Episode 9. I saw Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. If you're wondering how I saw it, time zones and all that, I'm over in Australia, so I saw the movie last night, midnight premiere. It's like 10:30 a.m. the next day for me now. Still wearing the same thing that I was wearing when I went to see the movie. Yeah, like I said, I don't really know where to start. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I don't even know how to, like, one sec. So the long and short of it is just that I didn't really like this movie, to be honest. And that's a surprise to me, but then it's also not a surprise to me at the same time, because I wrote up a review on Letterboxd, like a spoiler review. This video is gonna have a bunch of spoilers, so check the description, read that. It'll probably be a bit more coherent, I guess, because this will probably be a bit all over the place. But I mentioned in that I had a bit of an uneasy feeling with this movie, in regards to this movie. And I don't know why, I just didn't feel as hyped going into it. Something just didn't feel right inside, you know? You just have that sort of feeling. And I'm not sure if this is an indicator of it, but me personally, I have what they call generalized anxiety, and I have it pretty bad. So for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, midnight premieres, you know, going there late at night, there's a bunch of people there. There was a lot of people at the movie. That should, realistically, like completely put me off. But this time, I didn't actually feel nervous at all. I did not feel nervous at all, and I felt kind of calm. And I don't know why. But that's unrelated. So, obviously I've only seen the movie once, and maybe my opinion will change somewhat on a second viewing. I doubt it, but hey, we can cross that bridge when we get to it. So, I don't know if there's like I don't really know where to start. The whole movie just felt really weird, you know? It just felt like it wasn't very well paced, and I don't know if I should say it now, but it kind of felt like the movie was so concerned with appeasing fans who were never going to be appeased, and retconning the best parts of The Last Jedi, that the movie forgot to tell a story itself. And I'm sure you've heard that sentiment from plenty of other people, because that's what the movie is. I saw reviews, and I saw people saying this movie felt like an apology for The Last Jedi. An apology that didn't need to be made. This movie just focused on the wrong thing entirely. And it really suffered as a result. Palpatine's back. How's he back? He just is. I don't think there's actually an explanation for it. He just shows up. The very first scene in the movie, just about, is that scene they released with Kylo Ren going to the planet. And not Snoke. Though he basically created Snoke, so whatever. And Palpatine's just there. You know? He's just alive. And I don't think there's any explanation for it. He just is alive. And that alone isn't, like, a problem. Like, I don't really care about that personally, but it's just, I've always maintained that they had to have some idea of where the characters were going to go at the end of all this, but now more than ever, it seems very evident to me that they had no idea what they were doing. There was no plan at all, because Palpatine, they work it into the story well enough that it feels like maybe they were planning it from the beginning, but I don't think they were, you know? Palpatine just, he didn't really, well, I don't know, there's two arguments to be made. On the one hand, I get it. I get bringing him back because he's the big bad, and it kind of comes all full circle because he started it all, so he ends it all. That makes sense, but it kind of feels like he's just in the movie to be a better Snoke, because we killed Snoke in the last one, and that was like one of the best parts of the last one. Also, I should preface this by saying that I know a lot of people don't like The Last Jedi, and this movie will probably cater to those people, which made me pretty sad. But after rewatching all the movies, The Last Jedi has actually become my favorite one. So, I don't know. I always knew going into this movie, it's not going to be as good as The Last Jedi. I always knew it was never going to be as good as The Last Jedi. For me personally, if you hate the movie, that's totally fine. In fact, if you were really upset and really angry about The Last Jedi, I kind of get it now. I kind of feel that way about The Rise of Skywalker, because when the movie ended, I felt very conflicted. there were several points where I was just like, this is not grabbing me at all. This is not doing anything for me. And there were some great moments too. There were some really great moments, but most of the great moments in the movies are undercut, or what's the word? Most of the great moments in the movies are ruined in a sense because it becomes meaningless. I guess we'll just jump right into it. The main thing I had issue with in the movie was the whole Raylo thing. I predicted it. I figured it was going to happen. It happened. The leaks ended up being true. Ben Solo redeemed himself. He chucked his lightsaber away after a short scene with Han, or like a memory, and that was kind of nice. I thought that was okay. The fight they had on the Death Star was okay. It just, I don't know, something about this movie, like the Force powers in this movie, it felt really cartoonish. Like Rey and Kylo Ren are fighting over a ship using the Force, and I'm just there watching it like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it just looks so goofy. And I know Star Wars is goofy and cartoonish, but this took it to a whole nother level for me personally. This felt like fan fiction, and I've never thought that the sequel trilogy felt like that. Like some people say it feels like fan fiction. This movie felt like fan fiction. It felt like someone was writing it and just going, oh, wouldn't this be the most awesome thing ever? You know, Rey is a Palpatine. Oh, spoiler. And like I said in the Letterboxd review, I joked about that. When The Force Awakens first came out, I said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if she was a Palpatine? And now she fucking is. She's literally a Palpatine. Like, who wrote this movie? Who thought that was a good idea? And the thing is, right, the more details about her parents and the explanation itself isn't that bad an idea, and the fact that Rey has a tie to Palpatine, and she's Palpatine's grandchild, and Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, is Darth Vader's grandchild, that's kind of a nice little thing, you know? But at the end of the day, it just reiterated to me, at least, that the last two movies, the message of being nobody and still being powerful and still having potential to become a powerful Jedi, that's completely ruined now. That's completely wiped away. Nope, you don't have to just have the Force. No, you have to be related to someone that has the Force. And I know people are going to be happy about this because it explains Rey's apparent, like, Mary Sue-ness, and all of her powers are explained now. But despite the fact that in this movie, she's pretty fucking overpowered, to be honest. Like, she isn't a Mary Sue. I want to make that clear. I said in my video that I made about Rey not being a Mary Sue, nothing in episode 9 is going to change that, like or dislike the movie. And I still maintain that. Like, she isn't a Mary Sue because her sort of conflict in this movie and her temptation to the dark side was actually one of the best parts. In fact, I think Rey's actually the best character in the whole movie, which is not something I thought I was going to say, considering you have Kylo Ren, who, to be honest, he's kind of just there. He's kind of just there, and he has some good scenes with Rey, but he's kind of just in the movie. Like, he doesn't really do anything. Do you know what I mean? And Finn and Poe as well. While the scenes aren't bad, they're just kind of there. The movie focuses a lot on Rey, which again was good. Like, that part of the movie was good. I thought her character was pretty well written. But then, I don't know. Just some parts worked, some parts didn't. I don't know. Where was I? I started somewhere. I went off. Anyway, the Raylo thing. So Raylo happened, and Ben Solo redeemed himself, and they have the Force bond, and she grabs the lightsaber and she drops it, and then he picks it up. I thought that was kind of cool, and then he fights the Knights of Ren, and he has some funny moments, like after being redeemed. He shows up, he looks like he's in pajamas, which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, so the leaks ended up being true, because I remember hearing a leak that Ben got, like, pushed down a pit or something, and I remember seeing that happen. I was like, oh shit, no, what's this? But he comes back, the camera pans down, you see his hand appear, which was kind of predictable. Like, it was cool. Hey, he's back, awesome. A lot of this movie was predictable as well. I mentioned that in the review as well. So many lines of dialogue felt so predictable. Like, don't say that, please don't say that line of dialogue. You said it. You had to say it. You had to say that line. And there was nothing that I cringed at. There was nothing, like, really bad. But I just saw it coming. And that's me, you know? Anyway, getting back to the whole Raylo of it all. So Ben Solo pulls himself out of the pit. He goes over to Rey, who is dead. She's literally dead. She's just actually dead. And that kind of surprised me. But what happened next didn't surprise me at all, because I actually predicted it a few years ago. I predicted that Rey or Kylo Ren would use the Force to bring one another back to life, and in the process they would probably sacrifice themselves. And that's what happens. So Ben uses the Force to bring Rey back to life, because it's hinted at earlier in the movie that Rey has the power to heal wounds. And I immediately thought, okay, well that's how they're gonna do something, like that's gonna come back into play. Ben does that, and yeah, like I said, Reylo happens. They share a kiss. It's a great moment. It's the best moment in the movie. It's honestly like the best scene. And then it's meaningless, because Ben dies, and he vanishes despite the fact that later in the movie, when Rey adopts the name Skywalker and becomes Rey Skywalker, which, I don't know, that was kind of a cute scene, I guess. When Luke and Leia show up, Ben Solo isn't there. He vanishes, like they're making you think, oh, he's going to become a Force ghost or something. And then he doesn't show up at the end of the movie when Luke and Leia are there. And I'm just there like, why did he vanish? And the scene itself is just so abrupt. It's so sudden. But the worst part of it all is that Ben Solo shouldn't have died at all. He just didn't need to die. And the worst part about it is that they gave us what we wanted. They gave us the Reylo thing that we wanted, or at least what I wanted, because I was that's what I wanted, And that's the weird thing about this movie. Everything I wanted, I got, Ben Solo redeemed himself. Reylo happened. But then he died, and it was made meaningless. Because I don't know, like, they have a really nice moment, They're just kind of embracing each other, and they're happy, and then it's snatched away like that. And the trilogy ends the way it began, well, not entirely, because Kylo Ren's dead now, but generally speaking, Rey is now alone on a desert, like she was at the beginning of the story. Yeah, okay, no, that's a great arc, that's a great ending, she's just back on another desert planet, alone now. So that was probably my main issue with the movie. That was probably the main thing that really grinded my gears, if you will. Just the fact that Reylo happens, and then it's made meaningless, because Ben Solo dies, when he doesn't need to die. And, I don't know. Who thought this was a good idea? Who watched this ending and thought, yeah, this is a really great example of the main pillars and the main themes of Star Wars, hope, family, redemption, love. Yeah, this has it all. No, it doesn't. We're just gonna shit all over that. I don't understand who thought this ending was a good idea. We're gonna give them what they want, we're gonna have them have a little moment, and then we're gonna snatch it away, and we're gonna just put our main character, we're gonna put her right back where she was. We're not gonna give her what she wants. We're not gonna just let her have the thing she wants. We're not gonna let her have that sense of belonging. No, we're just gonna snatch it away from her, because who needs a happy ending in Star Wars? I don't get it. I really don't get it, to be honest. I don't know. Like I said, this is all over the place. But yeah, for me personally, that was the worst part. And yeah, I don't know, just when I left the movie, like I said, I felt really conflicted, and I was like, yeah, there's some good, but I remember saying to my dad that I watched the movie with, I just said, there's a lot of that movie I just didn't like. There's so many things I didn't like at all. I just felt like I said earlier, I think I already said, the movie's so concerned with retconning a better movie that it becomes a worse movie itself, which is just massively ironic, I think. And yeah, like I said, it just felt like fan fiction a lot of the time. Rey's a Palpatine. Rey is meditating. She's like levitating in the air, like Luke was at the end of The Last Jedi. She's like they can both do big jumps now, which in and of itself isn't like a bad thing, I guess. It's just kind of silly watching them like float in the air, But yeah, I don't know, just so much of the movie, and like I said, they're fighting over the ship in the desert, and then out of Rey's hands comes lightning, She uses Force lightning, and that's the first, I guess, hint that she's a Palpatine. Because I don't know if I already said this. I can't even remember. Who cares? If you're some random nobody and you have no place in the story, but you come in anyway and you become the hero and you make something of yourself, and your destiny and your success as a person isn't tied to your parents. No, actually it is, because you have to be a Palpatine, because everyone in this movie is of some significance, and they're related to someone else. Rey being a Palpatine adds nothing to the story, because at the end of the story, she just becomes Rey Skywalker. So she may as well have just been Luke's daughter in the end, I guess. I mean, I guess not. Like I said, it works in that, it ties to Palpatine, that sort of connection, but do you really need to have that sort of connection? Do you really need to have a familial bond between the two? Surely just she's embodied all the Jedi, he's embodied all the Sith. He's the embodiment of evil. Surely that's enough. Why do you need to have a familial link? I guess I didn't mind the more explanation for Rey's parents, but I think it really undermines what the last two movies set up by having her parents actually care about her, and that they were just trying to protect her. I just think that's kind of dumb, because it just makes everything Rey went through feel really pointless and really, I don't know, it didn't need to be, I don't know, I don't even know what to say about it. It's just, there's probably more things I have to say. There definitely is. There were so many scenes in this movie where I just rolled my eyes, and I wanted to facepalm. I just wanted to go, what is happening? Because so many, they barely mention anything in The Last Jedi. I remember they mention one of the characters, Dominic Monaghan's character, bloody lost. There we go. He mentions the Holdo maneuver, and I'm like, oh, you're actually gonna mention something from The Last Jedi, and that's the way the movie made me feel, because this movie isn't a sequel to The Last Jedi. It's a sequel to The Force Awakens, but it's a sequel to The Force Awakens in which The Last Jedi happens, but we're gonna retcon it. We're gonna mention The Last Jedi, but we're gonna retcon it, but we're still gonna mention it, even though it doesn't matter now. This trilogy as a whole, there was such an easy ending. Just have Ben Solo not die. He lives. They both go to Tatooine. Boom, happy ending. That's literally all you needed to do. That's all you needed to change, and they didn't do that. I don't get how you don't... I don't know how you mess that up. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how you end the story of Star Wars. This is the ending. This is the ending to the entire saga. And you end it by, to me at least, completely betraying the main themes of the saga, of what Star Wars means. Where is the hope? How is this a hopeful ending? Yeah, I don't know, guys. I just really didn't care much for this movie, and that's really disappointing, because I don't know if I mentioned actually, but we got home about 3 a.m. and I stayed up until 6 a.m. and I didn't actually get any sleep, and it's 10 a.m. now, so I only got a few hours of sleep. But I stayed up for a few hours after this movie, just trying to come to terms with the fact that what happened, because I just felt so underwhelmed and disappointed, and the more I thought about the movie, the more I didn't like it. The more I almost started to hate it in a way, because the choices in this movie are just so baffling to me. I don't get it, I don't get it. J.J. Abrams and whoever else, they tried to please everyone, and they're probably going to end up pleasing no one, because this movie just, I don't know. I think some other people said it best. I think I already said it, the movie is so concerned with retconning Last Jedi, it doesn't really have a story of its own. But then it feels like an entire trilogy packed into one movie. And then it just ends the same way Return of the Jedi did. The same way Revenge of the Sith did. It just ends the exact same way. And it feels so flat. And you just want to cry. Because everything that this trilogy was building up to is meaningless now. It doesn't matter now. The whole Reylo thing, yeah, that doesn't matter. Rewatch the trilogy. See where it's going to go. Know where it's going to go now. How are you supposed to enjoy it? How are you supposed to get to this movie and be like, oh yeah, I really want to watch this movie where it happens, and then it's snatched away, and the best character in the entire series, because as far as I'm concerned, Kylo Ren's the best character in the entire series, he just dies. He just drops dead, and then he vanishes within 30 seconds after the kiss. The kiss of death. Well, look at that. It's so smart and clever. Aren't we so smart and clever? Because, I don't even know. This was kind of all over the place. I don't know if this will even end up being uploaded. But I kind of just wanted to put my thought out there. I just wanted to put my hat out there. Put my 2 cents in about Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, which I didn't like very much. I didn't give it a rating. I didn't give it like a score. But it's only gone down in my mind. And while it isn't prequel level bad, I would say, as far as disappointment, I don't know, it's really low down there for me. And I don't know why, because it seems so simple. It seems so simple, like, just don't have Ben Solo die. It's that simple. And that's the thing, right? Fanboy Star Wars fanboy me, all he wanted was just Ben Solo to be redeemed and for Reylo to happen. That's literally all I needed from this movie, and for him to live. You got 2 out of 3. You quit while you were ahead. You know? Oh, this is going so great. This is a really great, powerful moment. Now we're just going to kill him instead. Because we want to rip off Return of the Jedi. This movie just made me feel bleh. I don't know. This movie just didn't do it for me, you know? It didn't get me going like The Last Jedi did. And I kind of get it, you know? I kind of get why so many people hate The Last Jedi. But honestly, this movie makes The Last Jedi look like the best movie ever made. And it's already my favorite Star Wars movie. Not to say it's perfect or anything, obviously. It's got its issues. I probably missed a whole lot of stuff. And I like I said, I didn't write anything out. And yeah, for me, the main problem in the movie, you know your movie has problems when the best moment in the movie is simultaneously the worst moment in the movie. Because it's completely undercut by a character dying unnecessarily and abruptly. So, I don't know, the ending itself was kind of cute, you know, Rey going to Tatooine and burying Luke and Leia's lightsabers, because Leia has a lightsaber now, because everyone needs one. I don't know. I didn't mind that, I guess. I don't know, it was just kind of there for fan service, I guess. Like, the thing about The Last Jedi, it had fan service, you know, the R2-D2 help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. But that was used to move the plot forward. That was used to get Luke to train Rey. It wasn't just there because fan service. Hey, remember that? It wasn't just there because of fan service. It was there because it served a purpose to the plot. And you couldn't actually take it out. And it actually made sense for it to be there. And it was quite clever. But this movie, it ain't that. it ain't that. So yeah, I don't know. Does this ruin the sequel trilogy for me? Does this ruin Star Wars for me? No, I don't think this ruins Star Wars for me. I just think this is a massively disappointing movie. Because it's so simple. The story is so simple. Rey and Ben end up together. Ben doesn't die. Like, were they concerned that people knew this was happening? Were they concerned people knew this was going to happen? And they wanted to just, like, did J.J. Abrams pull a Rian Johnson and try and subvert our expectations by going, oh, we're going to get Reylo, it's going to happen. Nope, he's dead. Fuck you, I guess. I don't know, it didn't work for me. A lot of this movie didn't work for me. Most of this movie didn't work for me, the more I think about it. And, yeah, I don't know, like, it has some entertaining moments. It has some enjoyable moments. But overall, it just felt very soulless. It felt very lifeless. It felt like it didn't have anything to say. And what it did have to say was just about betraying the main themes and the main pillars of the series up until this point. Because they dipped their toes into redemption and the romance and all that sort of stuff. But then, like I say, like I probably have been saying for the last 25 minutes or so, it ends up being meaningless because the character dies and Rey is right back where she started emotionally. But we don't see that in the movie because she just gets over it like that and then she's fine. The moment itself was great, you know, her saying, I did want to take your hand, you know, Ben's hand, I think she said that earlier when she stabbed him. My heart sank when that happened. I shat myself. But yeah, I don't know, just, it was so simple. And also, the Force Bond scenes that they have in this movie, they're good, you know, they were the best part probably of The Last Jedi, but Something about them in The Last Jedi felt so much better than in this movie. Like, the writing or the dialogue just felt so much better because Rian Johnson was writing it. And I say this in the Letterboxd review. Years ago when The Last Jedi first came out, I remember thinking to myself, God, I really wish Rian Johnson was directing the next one too. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed at all. I wish Rian Johnson did this one instead, because imagine how good it could have been. Imagine, oh, Rian Johnson. Save us, Rian Johnson. You're our only hope. Nah, I don't know. I'm gonna stop rambling now. I'm gonna go and get some food. I'll probably get over this movie in like a month or so, but to be honest with you, The Rise of Skywalker just made me sad. It just depressed me. It just upset me. And I never thought I would leave a Star Wars movie, the final Star Wars movie in the entire saga. I never thought I would leave that movie going, I feel sad. You know? Because that's not what Star Wars should be about. I just don't see how anyone watches this movie and feels like, oh, that's a really happy ending. I'm really glad that happened, because it didn't do it for me personally. Yeah. That's your lot, I guess. Like I said, I can't really give this movie a rating. I'm sure we're going to go and see it again at some point. I'm kind of dreading it, to be honest. The movie felt quite overly long, but maybe I'll enjoy it more. I don't see it happening, but hey, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I will enjoy it more. But yeah, I just feel quite underwhelmed. So, that's my thoughts on The Rise of Skywalker. It's by far my least favorite of the trilogy. If I had to rank it right now, I'd probably put it below Solo, or maybe even below Rogue One. And if you know me, you know I'm not a big fan of Rogue One. But those movies I didn't have any anticipation for. I didn't have any hopes or expectations. This movie I did. But even removing the expectation of the hopes, because like I said, going into this movie, I wasn't really that hyped like the other two movies. The movie itself just didn't do much for me, just as a movie itself. As a sequel to The Last Jedi, it's terrible. As a movie in its own right, it's messy, and it's poorly paced, and it's all over the place. And it just, I don't know, it just felt like, I don't know who this movie was made for. You know, this movie is made for Star Wars fans, apparently, and we're all supposed to enjoy it and rejoice because Star Wars is back after Rian Johnson ruined it. And I just feel like this movie will please no one, and they're trying to please everyone. When you try to please everyone, you please no one. So Rian Johnson was like, fuck that, I'm just gonna make my own movie. Who cares if they don't like it? Because people are still talking about it 2 years later, and people are gonna keep talking about it for years. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Let me know what you thought. Were you as disappointed and depressed as I was by the end? Thanks for watching. I was going to do a typical, Giggles Reacts, but I figured this sort of thing deserves its own, it deserves its own video, because I didn't want to just talk about it for like 10 minutes in the gameplay, and then talk about it like 15 minutes afterwards, just there going, Star Wars. So I figured I'd just make this its own video. I don't think, I'm not gonna like update the Mary Sue video. I might in a few months when the Blu-ray comes out. Maybe I'll give it another watch. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I still want to maintain Rey isn't a Mary Sue. She still isn't. She isn't in this movie either. She is kind of overpowered, but the shit she's doing, Kylo Ren's doing as well. And they kind of make up for that by saying that they're like 2 in 1 in the Force. They're like one being, which doesn't make sense, because if one of them dies, surely the other one just wouldn't want to even live, Padme, I just didn't want to live. I just died because of the sad. Even though I guess I always kind of thought that was Palpatine like draining her life force and transporting it into Anakin. Transport? Yeah, sure, why not? Transferring it into Anakin. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm rambling again. I just ramble. Star Wars, the ramble of Skywalker. The ramble of giggles. The ramble of giggles. That would have been a better movie. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, let me know what you thought of The Rise of Skywalker. I'm sure I'll watch it again. But, like I said, I'm kind of dreading it. I don't know. I just feel hollow. I just feel empty. I feel... That's not how you're supposed to feel after watching a Star Wars movie. Especially the last one ever. The last of the trilogy. the last of the saga. I get that it's a big ask. It's a tough ask. It's a task. But I just feel like there were so many better things they could have done. There were so many better ways to go with the story. Because the story just feels like a bunch of loosely written fan fiction thrown together. And yeah, I don't know, guys. This didn't do it for me. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching if you did. I don't know. I guess I'm glad Star Wars is over. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, so I guess now we just move on with our lives and we just stop watching at I've forgotten what the movie's called. We just stopped watching at The Last Jedi. I don't know. I mean, the movie definitely had good moments. It all feels meaningless now, and I've said that so many times because I've been saying it so many times, and it still doesn't feel right. You know, it doesn't feel like it's out of my system. I feel like I need to keep saying it. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see ya.